Yes, a very good morning to all of you. Right, little delay in sending the paper. It just skipped my mind. So the practice paper, I have told the team to put it today morning, but the practice paper too also I think has already been put. Right. So did you get an opportunity? Did you find a few minutes to look into the questions over there? And as I said, were you able to identify that it is which clause, which part, and which schedule, and whether the CA is guilty or not guilty of professional misconduct? Right? Did you have a look? Right? Have you received the, yes, did you open the WhatsApp, and it's been put on the Google Drive also for the Google Drive or the pen drive students over there? Okay. Right. So did you have a look at the questions over there? Right, so now do you have a virtual screen in front of you in which all the 34 clauses of ethics are in, yes, front of you? Like, do you have a picture over there, a chart over there in front of you? Like, okay, schedules to the act, first schedule, second schedule, part 1, 2, 3, 4, part 1, 2, 3, right? And then you have the part 1 first schedule, professional misconduct for CA in practice, which is what? Practice by non-CA, sharing, accepting, partnership, right? Then the canvassing, that is the securing, then soliciting, then advertising, NOC 139, percentage contingent basis, permission, and the signing, right? Then we have part 2 of the first schedule, which is professional misconduct for CA in service. What does it say? Not to share, not to accept for CA in service. Then part 3 of the first schedule, which is professional misconduct generally. You're not a fellow, but you're telling everybody, I am a fellow member of the institute. Or you don't ply, right? You don't supply the information called for, or you do not comply with the requirements asked for by ICAI or its functionaries. And then you give the false information under clause 6 and 7 of the part 1 of the first schedule, right? Then the part 4 of the first schedule, what does it say? Other misconduct generally, right? So one, it says imprisonment up to 6 months. And second, what does it say? You're bringing, right? In the opinion of the council, what are you bringing? You're bringing the disrepute to the profession or to the institute as a result of his action, whether or not related to his professional work. Okay, right? So that's the entire first schedule. And then we also have the second schedule over there, right? Second schedule, part 1, 2, and 3, right? Part 1, second schedule, professional misconduct for CA in practice, right? So here it's all related to the work done by the chartered accountant, right? So we say like breach of confidentiality, CA in practice, right? So discloses information acquired in the course of his professional engagement to any person other than the client, so engaging him unless required by any law for the time being enforced or permitted by the client to do so. Right. Then we have 212. What is 212? Certifies or submits, right, in his name or in the name of his firm, any report on examination of financial statements unless the examination of the financial statements and the related records has been done by he, his partner, his employee, or another CA in practice. Right? So directly or indirectly under his supervision, the work should be done, and only then he should issue a report. Right. Then 312. What is 312? Yes, if he permits his name to be used in connection with estimate of earnings contingent upon future transactions in the manner which may lead to the belief that he vouches for the accuracy of the forecast. Okay, right. Then 412, right? 412 expresses opinion on the financial statements of any business or enterprise where he, his partner, his firm, or his relative, AS 18 or Ind AS 24, has the substantial interest. However, information system work allowed. And then we say now the CA is failing. Like 512, 612, 812, 912, and 1012. Right? What is 512? Fails to disclose the material fact known to him, which is not disclosed in the financial statements, but disclosure of which is necessary in making the financial statements, where he is concerned with such financial statements in a professional capacity. Right? So that is 512. Fails to disclose a material fact. So we said, like, that non-creation of sinking fund or the loan being given out of the trust to the employer company. Right. Then after that, 612 fails to report a material misstatement known to him to appear in the financial statements with which he is concerned in a professional capacity. Right. Then after that, 712. What is 712? Very erratic, or very unorganized chartered accountant over there. He's not exercising at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's what we said. No, he does not exercise the due diligence, or he's grossly negligent in the conduct of his professional duties, right? So does not exercise due diligence. He is not adopting arbitrary valuation of closing stock. He's not pointing out the schedule 3 contravention. He failed to detect the fraud, which could have been easily detected had he properly checked the cash book. He did not examine the bank passbook. He relied on the internal control and surrendered to the pressure of the management. So what CA did not complete his work on time. And that CA Sheetal, she signed the signature, put a digital signature without checking the documents. Right? So what does it say? This is all gross negligence. Right? So what does it say? It cannot be excused. The acting honestly and reasonably in the discharge of his duties. Right? A CA should have great skill, care, and caution. You remember SCC, which a reasonably CCC, competent, cautious, and careful auditor would use. Okay, right? So that was regarding the gross negligence. Then we had 812, where I told you mainly the questions are regarding the periodicals and magazines. Okay, CA certified the circulation of a periodical without going into the basic record checking. Right? So what is 812? Fails to obtain sufficient information which is necessary for expression of opinion, or its exceptions are sufficiently material to negate the expression of an opinion. That means you should not create a negation, but you should not create an exception, but you should give a negation. Right? That is 812. Then 912. What is 912? One CA has not complied with the generally accepted audit procedures applicable to these circumstances. And second, he has not invited attention to these material departure. Right? So we say fails to invite attention to any material departure from the generally accepted audit procedures applicable in the circumstances. Right? Fails to invite the attention. Right? So CA has issued the report or any certificate, and he's not mentioned the UDIN, firm registration number, the membership number. It says 912. And a CA is doing audit of a listed company. He does not have a valid peer review certificate. SEBI notification says no. Such a CA who does not have a valid peer review certificate should not be doing the audit of a listed company. Right? So again, guilty of professional misconduct under 912. Okay. Right. Then 1012. Right, so client has given the money to the CA. So one CA, if the money is not to be used within a reasonable time, you need to keep it in a separate bank account. And second, you should use it for the purposes intended by the client. Right? And then what does it say? Fees, remuneration, including advance, no need to keep it in a separate bank account. And if the money is to be used within a reasonably short time, again, no need to put it in a separate banking account. Right? No need to put it in a separate banking account. Right? So what is 1012? Fails to keep monies belonging to his client other than fees or remuneration, including advance, in a separate bank account. Right? Or to use such monies for the purposes intended by the client within a reasonable time. Right? So we saw that the CA kept on going abroad and then, gave the money. The client kept on going abroad and then handed over some money to the CA, and CA's, then celebrated wife's birthday party. So it says guilty of professional misconduct under the 1012. Okay, right. So that was the part 1 of the second schedule, right? Part 1 of the second schedule. Then we came to the part 2 of the second schedule, which is professional misconduct generally, right? What is 122? 122? Yes, I'm able to hear you. You say it. Yes, 122 contravenes any of the PRG, correct, provisions of the Act, regulations made thereunder, or the guidelines issued by the Council. Right? So that is contravenes. 122. Generally, the guidelines which are contravened or the regulations which are contravened are all those related to the articles. Like Regulation 47 is regarding the premium from article, and Regulation 48 is regarding the stipend to the article, which is not paid on a monthly basis, or the minimum amount of stipend has not been paid. Okay, right? So that was regarding the 122. Right, then we came to 222. What was 222? Yes, breach of confidentiality for CA in service. Right, so now discloses the employer information unless required by law or taken the prior consent of the employer. Right, then 322. What is 322? False particulars to the ICAI in any information form, return, or statement submitted to ICAI Council committees, Director Discipline, Board of Discipline, Disciplinary Committee, Quality Review Board, Appellate Authority. Provides any particulars knowing them to be false. Right, so false particulars to the ICAI, that is 322. And then 422 defalcates, embezzles the money received in the professional capacity. Right, so that was your part 2 of the second schedule. And then we have the part 3 of the second schedule, which was imprisonment for more than 6 months. Okay, right, so what happens sometimes, that you happen to study the first schedule very properly and second schedule goes neglected, right? Or you study the schedules and the sections and the guidelines get neglected. And with institute, what can happen, say all the 3 questions come from the second schedule and you have done the first schedule properly, then problem. Right, so my suggestion or my one advice to you over here, that when you study ethics, right, always keep on studying it in different sequence. Like one time when you study the first schedule first and then the second schedule. Another time when you first study the second schedule, then you come to the first schedule. Another time you first study the council general guidelines, then you come to the second schedule, then study the sections and then come to the first schedule. Right, so just keep on dodging and keep on changing the sequence, right, so that you do equal justice, to all the contents, right? So it's not necessary always follow FIFO, right? You can follow LIFO, weighted average, or some, mixed method of yours you can invent and follow that. Okay. And then we also started discussing the council guidelines, right? Council guidelines, what did we say? Any of these council guidelines not followed, the CA will be guilty of professional misconduct under the right? CA will be guilty of professional misconduct under the 122, right? That is the contravenes. Okay, right? So we had the preliminary, then CA in service should not be grossly negligent, then 3 and 4 chapter eliminated, then chapter 5 is regarding the books of account, right? That practicing CA from day 1 of practice, irrespective of the limits under the income tax law, you have to maintain the proper books of account, including the cash book and the ledger, right? Then the number of tax audit assignments, 60 tax audit assignments per CA. Right? Can one partner of the firm sign all the reports on behalf of the firm? Yes, one partner can sign all the reports. Right. Then we came to chapter 7, which was regarding the non-payment of the undisputed audit fees. Right. So the undisputed audit fees of the previous auditor should be paid. Otherwise, CA, you should not accept the audit. Right. You'll be guilty of professional misconduct under 122. However, this provision does not apply to a sick unit. That means where it is registered for not less than 5 years and accumulated losses are equal to or exceeding the net worth. Okay, right. Then we said regarding the specified number of the audit assignments. So, right, we linked it with 141(3)(g. Right, so Companies Act says the limit for the audits is 20, but CA Act says that the total limit for the number of audits is 30, except for the audit of the one-person company and the dormant companies. And then CA, you need to maintain a record of the audit assignments. Right, then again it says if there is URA, there is unjustified removal of the earlier auditor, then it says incoming auditor, you should not accept the audit. Then whether you can accept an audit when you're indebted. So it says indebtedness up to the limits fixed in the statute, or where the limits are not given in the statute, then the limit is 1 lakh. Right, then the limit for the indebtedness is the 1 lakh over there. Right, then after that we studied the minimum audit fee that has been eliminated, and then after that now we have the UDIN and then the logo guidelines, the tenders and inquiries, which we've already discussed under 611. Okay, right, so that's all what we have covered so far. So now we'll complete with the remaining council general guidelines over there, and then proceed with our further discussion regarding the recommended self-regulatory measures, the recent decisions of the ethical standard board, and also our discussion regarding the NOCLAR. Okay, right, so what is the difference between 331 and 322? Right, 331, you are giving the false information in your tender inquiry, or when you're applying to another CA for a work, or when you're advertising through a write-up. Right, so in the in the exceptions to 6 and 7, you're giving the false information. Your firm was established in 1990, but you are writing, a firm was established in 1950. Right? So in your advertisements, in your write-up, in your tender, when I'm applying for work from another CA, I am giving the false information. Right? So there I'm giving the false information under 331. And under 322, I'm giving the false information to the institute. Institute is asking me, how many hours are you teaching every day? Say I'm teaching every day for 4 hours. I'm saying, no, I'm teaching every day only for 2 hours. Right? So I'm giving the false information to the ICAR. Right? And that is 322. And if I give false information under 6 and 7, so on my website, I put some wrong information, then it says, CA in practice, if you put some wrong information on your website, then you are guilty under the 331. Right? Is it clear? Still, if any doubt, please ask. Right? Any confusion still there? You can certainly ask me regarding that. Okay. Yes? All good? Okay. So you can send your reply. Okay. Right. So now, okay, all good. Okay, wonderful. Right. So now let's get little creative over there. Let's get little creative over there. Let's think of some idea. Okay, there is the chartered accountant. What is the name of the CA? CA Sparkle? नहीं, हमेशा Sparkle क्यों? Say let's call him CA Bahadur. That is CA Strong. And Bahadur, he's like very strong CA and very confident. Okay. Now the CA Bahadur, what he